Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Positivity. So those of you who haven't done this before, the goal here is that we meet once a day, just for a few minutes, and we practice and cultivate the foundational skills that help us feel better throughout our days. So today I'm going to walk through, we're going to do a practice, but I want to walk through showing you what I think are some pretty amazing images of neuroplasticity in action. So before we do that, I just want to remind you that basically what we're doing by getting together is we want to grow our brain's capacity to have positive experiences, right? When we're stuck in depression or anxiety, it takes up so much of our bandwidth that we actually forget that we have the ability to feel and experience both emotionally and sensorially, and certainly also cognitively, positivity. And so the positive experiences that we want to stimulate are things like, our capacity to manage our attention effectively, increase in awareness of our senses. What are we actually feeling in our body? Being able to regulate difficult emotions rather than getting hijacked. We want to be able to have some control over them, and so forth. And that includes compassion, loving kindness, being able to take in positive experiences and actually, savor them, and ultimately, feel and express love and forgiveness. And so the question is, how do we do that? And the short answer is we have to practice. And here's why we need to practice. Here's a quick primer on sort of neuroplasticity 101. So when we're born, we are born with basically all of the brain cells, the neurons that we're going to have, anywhere from 90 billion to 100 billion brain cells in our neocortex. And what I want you to notice in this image is what I would call the density of the connections, right? The little dark spots are the neurons, and the spaghetti-like pieces are the axons and dendrites, meaning this is where the synaptic connections occur. And so it's pretty much a blank slate as a newborn. And then watch what happens as, the first 9 months pass. You can see there's a dramatic increase in the density of these synaptic connections, right? And it makes sense that going from newborn to 9 months, the amount of experience, like experiential learning that this little being goes through is astronomical. And so it makes sense that the brain is adapting. It is neuroplastically, the structure and function of the brain is changing in order to adapt to its environment. By the age of 2 years, the synaptic density is pretty much at its peak. It's estimated that there can be as many as 100 trillion synaptic connections between these, 100 billion neurons. So at 2 years, we've gone from, newborn to basically having like a billion, trillions of little country roads that are connecting these neurons together. Here's where it gets interesting for us as adults, is that by the time we become adults in our mid-20s, about 50% of those synaptic connections that we had as a 2-year-old have been pruned or have been lost, and they've been replaced by fewer highways or connections, if you will. But now these country roads have turned into these big 4-lane highways, right? That's why you see this much, there's fewer synaptic connections, but the ones that we do have are really big and really effective at giving us these subjective experiences. Now, this is relevant for us from a depression and anxiety standpoint, is because our brain has gotten really good at anxiety and depression. So the antidote to that is we have to counterbalance that with intentional and deliberate practice as adults now, where we say, okay, I understand I have this propensity for anxiety and depression, but what I'm going to focus on now is the desired neuroplastic changes that will give me the experiences of love and compassion and all the good stuff that we want. Anyway, so I just wanted to show that real briefly. And while we're doing this next exercise that I'm going to walk you through, I'd love for you to keep this in mind, right? Keep in mind this. I want you to visualize your brain and all of these, synaptic connections that are, have been really well formed over decades. And imagine that in order for you to have the experience that I'm going to walk you through, there are a different set of neurons that are firing and communicating with each other. And then imagine if we did that repeatedly over and over again, we have the ability to basically form a completely new set of strong connections in our brain that will then predispose us to much more of the good stuff that we ultimately want. Okay, so let's practice. So go ahead and close your eyes, and let's get grounded first. So find your feet on the ground, and just bring your attention there for a second. Just actually notice what it's like to be in contact with the ground. Maybe this is the first time today that you've actually had that conscious awareness that, oh, my feet are touching the ground. And most of you are probably sitting in a chair, so notice your butt and your back maybe leaning on the chair, and just notice the sensation of that. Your feet on the ground, your butt in the chair. Notice where your hands are. Maybe they're folded on your lap or they're resting on your thighs, and just notice the sensation of your hands there. And then I want you to imagine that you have a sort of an invisible string that's gently pulling you up through the top of your head up to the sky. And so you want to find a posture that feels relaxed, yet upright and alert. And now I want you to bring your attention to that very top part of your head, maybe where you can imagine that thread pulling up to the sky, and see if you can sense anything in that part of your scalp, the very, very top of your head. You may feel nothing, or you may feel something. It doesn't really matter. The main thing here is that you are focusing your attention on that part of your body. And then we're going to slowly move our way down through our temples and our forehead. And let's just pause there for a second and bring your full attention to your forehead, especially that area on your brow between your eyes. And just notice, what does that feel like? And there's no right or wrong or good or bad. We're just observing. We're just noticing. And notice what your eyes feel like. They might be twitching. You might be seeing all kinds of colors. Again, nothing to do, nothing to change other than to just notice, this is what my eyes feel like in this moment. And then moving your attention down to your jaw. And if you notice your jaw feels clenched or tight, go ahead and just relax a little bit more. Maybe allow your mouth to drop open a little bit. Many of us keep tension in our jaw. And again, just notice this. And notice what the inside of your mouth feels like, noticing your tongue resting in your mouth. If at any point you notice your mind wandering, that's okay. It's totally normal. It's what the mind does. Just gently bring it back to that part of your body and see if you can bring your full attention to that part of your body and just notice. And now we're going to travel downwards to our throat. Noticing the air passing in and out of or through our throat. Down to the back of our shoulders. Again, this is where many of us hold tension. And so see if you can just relax a tiny bit more, sitting a little more upright, just allowing your shoulders to drop. And just noticing. And then moving your attention down to your chest. Maybe you can feel your heartbeat. Maybe you can feel your chest expanding and contracting with each in-breath and out-breath. We feel a lot of emotions in our chest and also in our belly. So just notice, what's the sensory experience in your chest and also in your belly right now? Does it feel open? Does it feel contracted? And now moving your attention to your lower back and your buttocks, noticing yourself sitting in the chair. Just notice the pressure of your body against the chair. Slowly moving down your thighs, past your knees, down your shin bone, back into your feet. If you want, you can wiggle your toes a little bit just to bring extra attention to your feet. And just notice, this is what my feet feel like in this moment. And now we're going to travel back up our body. But instead of focusing on just one body part at a time, we're going to start adding them all in at the same time. So you can't really focus on one thing at one time, but it's really about zooming out and just noticing how, as we add these body parts back in, what is your overall sense of being and inhabiting your body in this moment feel like? So starting with our feet on the ground, notice what happens when you add in your calves and your shin and your knees, and then your thighs and your hamstrings, and just noticing the overall felt sense of your lower body, everything from your pelvis down. And then let's add in our belly, our lower back, travel upwards to our chest. Now we're adding in our torso. So we're sort of zooming out. We have a lower body, we have a torso. Just resting your awareness there. And now layering in your arms and your hands, moving all the way up to your shoulders, the back of your neck, and your throat. So sensing the whole body without your head, everything from your neck down. And then we'll keep going up through our jaw and our lips and our cheekbones and our eyes. Noticing your ears, your forehead, and then all the way back up to the very top of your head, the crown of your head. And let's just rest there for a second and just take it all in. Just notice what it's like to be inhabiting this body of yours. It's like a cloud of sensation we can't focus on any one thing at one time, but it's really just a matter of taking in the entire sensory experience of what it's like to have a body. And then take a deep breath in. And on this exhale, go ahead and open your eyes. And you can look around and you can see everyone on this call, everyone inhabiting their bodies. And see if you can hold this awareness, this overall sense of what it's like to have a body that's passing through time and space today, interacting with other people, how it's changing, how it feels. And see if you can just hold on to that in the background of your consciousness as you interact with the world today. And the fact that you can feel it means that we stimulated those neural networks that allow us to have that experience. And so the more we do this, the better we get at it, and the more we change our neurology to be able to be oriented or primed to be able to have this experience more easily. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to stick around for another 15 minutes or so if anyone has any questions. I usually hang out for Q&A. Those of you that are happy with this practice, remember you can do this on your own later again if you want. Hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow at 12 o'clock and we'll do something different. It's great seeing you all. Thank you.